So, that is 6 Colossi defeated. We're on to our 7th. What the 7th one is. If I remember correctly, it took me fucking ages to get to the 7th one. So I think I have a story lined up for you guys. Once again, it is a World of Warcraft story that happened quite recently. There we go. Let's just listen to a retard. Oh, I remember this fucking one. This one is very annoying. Not as annoying as some of the other ones, I'll give you that, but it's still quite annoying. But anyway, so there we go. I like that, even though he's been lying on the ground for ages, his stamina still recovers as soon as it gets up. Ah, hello. Right. Time for story time. World of Warcraft story time, to be more specific. More recently, I've been looking to raid with my shaman as a healer. I had 4.9k gear score, I think, when I started raiding properly. And we were looking around for a guild. And we joined, just randomly one night, I saw this guy advertising for a guild. So I spoke to him and he wanted to raid, so we joined, simple as. Now, everything was fine and dandy for the first couple of weeks. What was it? I'm not going to name anyone, because that's not my style. And personally, I had nothing against them. Honestly, I had nothing against the guild. But, I'll explain why in a moment. But I had a serious problem with the raid leader. Now, it started off alright. The raid leader himself, great guy. I'm sure he's very nice in person. He definitely sounded it on Vent. The first couple of times we raided with him, he's very polite, he explains things in detail, and was quite good. At first I was alright with him. But then he showed his true colours, and it turned out he wasn't quite as sweet, on the outside. What happened was, some nights he couldn't make it. I say some, it was most of the time, to be honest. So, we ended up going without a raid leader. Which fucking way do I go? Let's go that way. So, I would take up the point, because I knew tactics for the bosses we were doing, and, I knew how to do them well. And it was Festiga, that I first raid led? I don't know. And we got him down second attempt, which was fucking fantastic. And then I think we wiped on Rotface, I don't know. But then we got Rotface down on the next day by my raid leader, I'd like to say. I'm not trying to sound big-headed here, but it's sort of semi-relevant to the story. Am I going the right way? I don't think I am. Hold on. Unless I can go further. Let's have a look. Maybe there's more to this place. God, I can't see anything through this mist. This is stupid. Yeah, it looks like I'm now going the right way. So, yeah, what was I saying? Raiding. Oh, that's right. So we got Professor Butchside, which is a first for me, even on any of my characters. My rogue had only got up to Rotface, and my shaman, less gear score, like 500 less fucking gear score. Here it was, sat in front of Butchside. So we spent a good evening on him until the trash respawned and we couldn't get back in, and we failed, And then the raid leader came along. Throughout the story, he will be referred to as the raid leader, because I'm not naming anyone, I'm not that type of guy. Now, as I said, he's very nice, but what he tends to do is over-explain things, to the sense that, I don't know, He would explain one thing, and then explain it 5 different ways, and then explain something else 5 different ways, and then explain the first thing 4 different ways to begin with, you know, and in the end, you get very mind-fucked. And I wasn't the only one. Me and my girlfriend were in this guild, and we were talking amongst other players, and they agreed, you know, I'm not naming anyone once again, but there were others. So, this particular night, I think something had been said to him. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure something had been said to him. So, he was like, right, well, I'm only going to explain the tactics for Phase 1, then once we get past Phase 1, I'll explain Phase 2, and when we get past Phase 2, I'll explain Phase 3. And at the time, we're like, okay, fine, whatever. And, we wiped a couple of times on Phase 1, got to Phase 2, and in every single wipe, he was explaining the tactics over again. Which, in one way, was alright, but what happened was silly little things. For instance, he was telling the entire group to stand together right at the beginning. And the problem with that was that the entire group standing together meant that all the ooze got splattered straight on top of the group. So we all get instant damage, which makes healing a bastard and when we wipe. So, after fucking around and all that, my girlfriend, who's had a bit of enough of it, turns around and says, look, can we just sort of give this another try? We learn through experience well. He's like, oh, okay, fine, we'll just give it another try. So, we get past Phase 1, we get past Phase 2, and we actually get into Phase 3, and no kidding, we were actually doing fucking fantastic at this point. We were well on the way to defeating him in time. We get to Phase 3, and then we realised no one had explained the tactics for Phase 3. So we wipe, quite simply. And it's like, well, my girlfriend picks up and says, well, hold on a minute, you know, why didn't you explain the tactics? Because at this point we were well expected to clear Phase 2. Why didn't you explain the tactics, you know? And this is where he shows his true colours. He snaps and turns around to my girlfriend and says, well, you were demanding that we get on with the raid, so I don't know what you're complaining about. So she shuts up at this point. She doesn't want a fight, right? And you know, I'd given up listening to him, to be perfectly honest. I already knew the tactics. I knew what I was doing, and all he was doing was repeating them over and over and over. So I was listening to music, and as soon as I heard this, I stopped the music and started listening. I was like, what the fuck is going on? You know. Now at the time, nothing happened. Nothing more, nothing less. They had a bit of a clash, and that was it. And he did eventually explain tactics from Part 3, and so on and so forth. Now, what happened after that is key. We finished for the night, and we're like, right, we'll come back tomorrow night and give it another try. What the hell? Did he just... He hit the wall. Interesting. Anyway, so... Raid Night 2 comes along, and our particular raid leader is back in the group. And I would like to point out at this point that I've been made a raid leader after my successful raids on Vestagut and Rockface, you know. The guild leader, who's a completely different raid leader, was quite grateful for that. So he said, well, you know, do you want to be a raid leader? With officer capabilities. Like, yeah, okay, then I'll take that up. It wasn't exactly what I signed up for, but, you know, I'll do it. And I think I've missed my opportunity. Yep, there we go. So, keeping in mind that I should really be treated as an officer at this point, which is like being discussed and that sort of idea on raid setup and that sort of idea. They're setting up the raid. I don't really say much. I really couldn't care less, just as long as I'm in it. Now, the night before, I mentioned to the guild leader that I'd quite like to bring my rogue along because of his high DPS. Because raid leader's words, seriously, this is what he said, that our DPS is lacking for future side. So I was like, I look at the raid table, and sure enough, it is. Funny thing about it is my girlfriend has the highest DPS, and back in her old guild, she was the lowest. So, makes you wonder for a moment. So I said to him, look, I'll bring my rogue along, someone else could heal, there's plenty of healers. We can switch around quite easily, and I'll boost up the DPS, you know. Simple as. So, comes around to inviting, and this raid leader contacts my girlfriend and says, you know, is Death by Heels, that's my character, coming online at all? Oh, fuck it, I missed him. Goddamn. And she said, well, no, he's on his road waiting for an invite. So at this point, I'm like, well, why aren't you talking to my girlfriend? I'm here, I'm on bed, you know, what's going on here? So, I speak up and go and say, I am here, you know, I got invited to the guild on my road, so, you know, you could ask me, hello. And, this is what really quite got me. Right? He turned around and said, well, you're definitely not coming on your rogue, so it's either your healer or nothing. In that tone of voice as well. Which shocked me, to be perfectly honest, because, you know, I had mentioned before that I wanted to come on my rogue, and his words, the DPS is lagging, so I just wanted to help. So I said to him this, you know, I'm only trying to help here, there's no need to snap. Right, or get aggressive is exactly what I said. You know, why are you being so aggressive all of a sudden? And I said to him, while we're on the subject, right, I didn't appreciate how you talked to my girlfriend last night, right? I did speak up and say something in the end, you know, it just wasn't right, because at the time I thought about it and thought, well, actually, hold on, she did deserve it. But then I looked back at it and realised she didn't, because it was him, at the end of the day, who didn't want to explain the raid tactics beforehand, his own words. Before Cass even got involved. So, he went silent at that point. He said, look, I will log on my healer now, because I don't have any objections. Just for future reference, I would like to bring my rogue along. So I logged over. There was something said while I was logging, I can't quite remember. Anyway, this is the part of the story that matters. Once I had logged over, I waited for a good 20 minutes for an invite. So I wondered what was going on. I turned around and said, so am I getting the raid invite? And one of the other raid members just said, be patient, you know, it will come along eventually. So we had a bit of a joke around, just waiting for a raid invite. And then, about 10 minutes after that, the raid leader speaks up and says, if you haven't had an invite by now, then I'm sorry, but the raid is full. Now, what I forgot to mention at this point was that the raid leader has said, if I log my shaman, then I've got an invite. If I don't, then I don't have an invite. So I logged my shaman for the invite. And essentially, he, like, what's the word? I don't know. He, like, backstabbed me in the sense that he lied, you know. He had no intention of inviting me. He was just being a prick. So, at this point, I said to my girlfriend, like, through whispers and shit like that, like, what the hell's going on? And after her conversation with him the other night, you know, she instantly rage quit out of the guild. She had wanted nothing to do with the raid leader anymore, which I don't blame her for. I'm just trying to remember exactly what happened.